So this is my first aquascape. I used to keep planted tanks mainly before knowing about aquascaping. This is my friend's old fish tank, he gave it to me. I used to keep some goldfish at the beginning. You can see the front glass full of scratches. I used to clean the front glass with a brush every week, and that's how the front glass got all these scratches. I'll replace the glass in future when I'll be rescaping this tank. Okay, so the substrate is really an experiment, to be honest, because I know that all my plants will be heavy root feeders. At the bottom here is 1 centimeter of dusted garden soil from my backyard with some nutrients powder, and on top of that there is a thin layer of small gravel. Then on top of that I used 2 centimeter of sand substrate from one of my old tanks just to help this new setup to kickstart the nitrogen cycle with some pre-developed beneficial bacteria from my old substrate. And on top of that I used 6 to 7 centimeter of aqua soil layer. The aqua soil isn't really that expensive, it's a local average grade aqua soil. This was my first aquascape, so I didn't want to use any wood in my hardscape because I thought that would be much harder for me to maintain. So using some rocks only, I start creating the hardscape layout. On my summer holiday I went to this beautiful hill area and found this rock and thought I could use that in my first aquascape. Everyone does it, so I bought 3 to 4 big pieces of this rock and also some small pieces of it. I had already made a drawing just to plan out how I wanted the aquascape to look when it will be finished. So I already knew how I'm going to use the stones. So after playing around for 2 hours, I finished positioning the rocks. I filled the tank with water, then used the dark start method to cycle this tank. Talking about the stone, this is a clay based stone. This is a red clay based stone. So after 2 weeks I got a huge algae outbreak on my tank. I used shrimps and nerite snails to keep the algae in control. Talking about the planting, I thought I would use hairgrass as the main carpeting plant to create an Iagumi layout, because I thought at the beginning I should go with something minimalistic layout, but I didn't use any CO2 at first. Okay, so most of my hairgrass melted and got vanished, and also the lighting wasn't very strong and wasn't really enough for the hairgrass to make a carpet. Then I totally cancelled my all initial planning and thought of turning this into a crypt jungle. I have used many crypts in this layout because crypts are heavy root feeder, and also my substrate is quite high in nutrients because I'm using a good aqua soil. Okay, so at the front here, at the front of small rocks, I used some small Crypt Parva, Cryptocoryne Parva. That is a small crypt that grows very small, and you can use it to create small detailings in the foreground, in the midground. And then I have some Cryptocoryne Axelordi that is a little bigger. I have 7 to 8 Crypt Axelordi in here. Some are still growing and some are well developed. Then I have some Crypt Wendtii Green and some Crypt Wendtii Brown. And at the foreground I have just planted some Crypt Legroi 2 weeks before. They are still growing and I don't know, they might melt because they are tissue culture plant. The other crypts that I have used here are mainly not tissue culture plant. So here the Crypt Legroi is the only that I am using as a tissue culture plant. So that might melt in future, I don't know for sure. So at the back I have Vallisneria Nana with some Crypt Spiralis Green, and they are still growing. The Vallisneria is well grown, but the Crypt Spiralis is still suffering maybe. I haven't seen the leaf yet at the top, so they might be still growing, might be still small. to see. Also, there is this foreground plant called Lilliopsis Braziliansis that looks like a small foreground crypt to me, that grows like a crypt also. I have used some Hydrocotyle Tripatita Mini as small details. You can see that most of the crypt and java fern, the leaf structure is kinda same. Not the leaf structure, the leaf shape is kinda same. So I have used some Hydrocotyle Tripatita Mini because that small rounded leaf will create some contrast in the leaf shape. And also there is some red stem plants just to add some contrast in color. At the beginning I wasn't using CO2, so I was afraid that if I planted red high-tech crypts then they will start melting. But now I'm using a DIY CO2 system, and so I can try out different high-tech red crypts now. I am planning on using some Crypt Flamingo. They look great. They are reddish pink colored crypt, and also some Crypt Spiralis red, some Crypt Wendtii red, some Cryptocoryne Jungle that grows tall. Their leaves normally grows like a Vallisneria but more thicker. I'll use them in the background. Then some Crypt Retro Spiralis with some really cool long leaves with some spirally structure. Also there is a crypt called Cryptocoryne Tropica that is a small crypt normally grow with a green color of leaf. These are little rare and hard to get in my location, but I will definitely use them once I got my hands on them. I used this big java fern to create the triangle shape of the layout. Also this is the only epiphyte plant that I'm using in here. You can see that the main stone is in golden ratio point. So the java fern is just to create that added interest in the golden ratio point, and it will also provide shade to the crypts. Talking about the fish, at first I thought of using neon tetra in a group of 20, but I saw that the neon tetra was distracting the view from the plants because I really wanted to showcase the amazing color and the leaf structure of the crypt. So I took out all the neon tetras and used a group of amber tetra. They are smaller than neon tetra, and also they weren't distracting the view from the plants. It was giving a calm, monotonous vibe which I wanted to achieve at the beginning. And also the neon tetras didn't do a really great schooling. They didn't show a good behavior in my tank, like they were just roaming around. But the amber tetra is quite different in behavior, like they normally school in a group when my beta comes out. Yes, I didn't talk about my beta. There is a beta fish named Viola. He's a half moon beta. He doesn't bother anyone. I am keeping him with shrimp babies, continuously breeding and giving small babies, but I have never seen my beta fish eating any shrimp baby. Maybe it's because I kept him well fed and there is a dense plant mass for the shrimp baby to hide. I had also kept a group of 12 pygmy corridoras in here, but they were hiding all the time in between the plants, so I took them out too. It is really hard to catch these small fishes with a net in an aquascape. I have managed to collect only 7 at the time. 5 of them are still hiding somewhere in there. I will catch them once I get chance. They are in my other aquascape now, which I have already prepared just for them, just for the pygmy corys and the neon tetras. And also that is my first aquascape using driftwood. The new video on that aquascape will be coming soon in my channel. This aquascape isn't really 100% algae free. I still see some hair algae here and there during the maintenance session, but I have already solved the problem of green dust algae and brown diatom algae at the frontal glass, thanks to the group of nerite snail that I'm using in this tank. There are many types of nerite snail in this tank, like the horned nerite snail, the zebra nerite snail, the black helmet. They are really cool and they really keep the glass clean. I was suffering through the algae outbreak. There was mainly hair algae, blackbeard algae and this thread algae, and also some green dust algae. I could easily clean the hair algae or thread algae by using a toothbrush, but I can't remove the black beard or black brush algae. So when I used the nerite snail, they ate it all and it just vanished. So if your tank got any black beard algae or black brush algae, then I will suggest you that use some nerite snails. They definitely eat black beard algae in my experience. So as the name suggests of this aquascape, the Cryptocoryne Jungle, I am planning to put some more crypt in this tank in future, and I think maybe I should try some angelfish in this tank, a small pair of angelfish. I think if I kept the Ember Tetra with angelfish, then the Ember Tetra will school more better. And I think because my beta is old, he is not really that much energetic now. Like there is a very strong flow in the water. I'm using a big hang on the back filter because the DIY CO2 bubbles need to be diffused properly in the tank. Like they need to be circulated well so that the all plants can take up the same amount of CO2 from the water. And because my beta fish doesn't eat any shrimp babies, I am planning on putting some more rainbow shrimp. It's bigger than a normal cherry shrimp and it really breeds well. Like if there is a huge plant mass and huge microfauna in your tank, then your shrimp will easily breed. Like they are always eating small bits of algae from your plant leaves. They are eating the hair algae. They are eating small green dust algae. Like the kind of algae you can't really clean by maintaining your tank by using a small toothbrush. So that's all of what I wanted to share with you guys about this tank. Let's see how this tank grows with time. I will be sharing updates about this tank in my channel, so keep watching The Rooted Aquarist. Some amazing aquascape projects are on the way for you guys, so keep watching, keep aquascaping.